Final Fantasy Tactics is a game I first played in my childhood. Sinking countless hours into the game, I couldn't get enough. The story was rich, the gameplay was dynamic, and the character customization had all but enthralled me. War of the Lions was much of the same, but I won't go into detail about that here. Fast forward to today, and the experience is similar, but slightly dulled by the knowledge of knowing what lay in wait for me around each corner. However, what time had washed away from my memory was given a new shine with the peerless voice acting added to the game. Having cleared the game in its capacity and acknowledging its missions was simply to give the experience of this amazing game to this generation today. A quote from Kazutoyo Mahiro: "Here is my game review of Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles." Immediately, we are dropped into the story's beginnings of two young squires, one born of low status and the other a bastard child of one of the most prominent houses in Ivalice. Within seconds, we are introduced to the political landscape that is Ivalice. A story that is arguably one of the best I've seen in a video game is only more dramatic and amazing with such awesome voice acting introduced with this edition of the game. I eagerly sat listening for each line to be read and felt the passion of the words from each actor.
Do you truly find fulfillment in that? In living as a man? If so, I pity you.
Do not feign concern for me. I see your words for what they are. Fear. The fear of a woman who defies your expectations, or indeed anyone who fits not your view of the world. To protect your fragile self-worth, you scorn those who share not your values. Those such as myself and Ramza.
It improved the game in a remarkable way. Without giving any spoilers, the story is rife with intrigue, deception, and hardship. Through its twists and turns, you are left wondering how it will all end. The ending is bittersweet and left me longing for more. But that's part of what makes it so great. Graphics got a small cleanup, and it felt like a warm, nostalgic, but modern touch to the game. It was exactly what I'd want from a remastered title. Modernizing, but respecting the original work. Pixel art has largely become a haven for passion work in RPGs, and I think this fits here. It does seem a bit dated, and the world doesn't feel as lush or alive as, say, Octopath Travelers or similar titles, so take it for what it's worth. The original soundtrack was respected and left here, and to be fair, don't fix it if it ain't broken. We did get lots of new sound effects and depth added to each action. All in all, the sound is impeccable. Every wince of pain, grasp of a sword, or kick to the abdomen was felt in its expressive and expertly crafted sound. As for the gameplay, combat was largely unchanged too. Small changes were reported for the game's adjustments and balance, but I didn't feel it was noticeable at all. Archer is a great example. It was boasted they would enhance its power, and according to Kazutoyo Mahiro, they scrapped it last minute because it was overpowered. In fact, the jobs do not feel balanced well overall. Black Mage is a great example. This job destroys the early game with its fantastic spells and flashy animations, but mid-game they are less reliable. And in the end game, it was more of a chore to use Black Mage spells or the job without supplementing it with an arithmetician to offset the difference. Support spells and status effects hold the most utility in Magic up until the end of the game, but even then they are cumbersome compared to just brutally destroying your opponents with high speed and damage dealing jobs. Ninja is a great example of that. It requires far less JP investment and is accessible early on because of it. My Ninja Thief with Brawler barehanded destroyed enemies early game and late game with unbelievable efficiency. I often had to bench him just to challenge myself in the playthrough. That doesn't even compare still to the Holy Sword techniques. Without MP cost, these abilities hit like trucks. They add status effects and with perfect accuracy. Oh, and their range too. A guaranteed hit that breaks equipment is insane. On top of that, Knight Swords used by those capable of Holy Sword skills are unbelievable weapons that scale not only off physical damage, but bravery too, making them the most powerful weapons in the game easily. We won't even mention the stat boosts that Knight Swords offer, which make them even more broken. While combat is a blast overall though, to respect the intention of re-releasing it to a new audience and generation, I would judge it fairly as such. With no way to alter terrain or terrain effects, elevation, gimping spells effectiveness by simply having a half-tile slope, and the painful lack of balance and abilities and jobs, it is safe to say that this is where Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, needs the most attention and feels incredibly dated. It reminds me of an old Dungeons & Dragons master that I had, DM, Dungeon Master, who simply wanted you to ride along and experience the story with his overpowered cast of characters that he had created. Something a new title without a mega franchise behind it and a cult following fighting to see past the nostalgia would not likely tolerate as easily, myself included. Customization is amazing, simple, and allows creativity. I would love to see more customization of generic units as we see in titles like Felseal Arbiter's Mark. Equipment being rare, poachable, stealable, and ultimately missable is fantastic. Games often shy away from punishing their players with missable content, and I personally love the reward of extra effort. It makes those so-called treasures truly treasured. I will gripe about the Materia Blade Plus, though, if you don't mind, as it can only be received once in the game and isn't thrown by high-level ninjas like other weapons, such as the Chaos Blade, a weapon that is objectively stronger in every way. Make it make sense. Oh well. Lastly, they introduced Tactician mode, which simply scales up the damage you receive and reduces the damage you deal. I swear it also lowers the probability of success and increases the enemy's probability of success, but I can't prove that. Honestly, it is nothing remarkable and feels like the laziest way to increase difficulty. It encourages you to exploit those overpowered job combos even more to overcome the sheer scale of power, not actually making the game more difficult, but just more tedious. It's pretty disappointing in my opinion. All in all, this was, and always will be my favorite game of all time. This is the title that broke me into tactical RPGs and cemented my love for a great story. I even named my daughter Alma, as I love the name, character, and yeah, everything. Despite my bias, I have tried to offer a fair criticism of this amazing story told in the 90s, reinvented in its current form. A lot of people are upset that they excluded the War of the Lions content from the game, and I too find myself questioning this decision. It has been called fluff by some, but this game is so good that I crave more content, and at $60, I want all that might have been available. While I miss the content from War of the Lions, I do not miss Dark Knight and Onion Knight jobs, as they were tedious to unlock and just further broke the game in my opinion. I do miss Balthier and Luso though, and their exclusion hurts. I will buy the DLC if it's added later, as I am impressed enough by this remaster to further support the game. I'm very hopeful that we get a sequel in the future, as I can imagine it still will be amazing. If Kazutoyo Mahiro directs it, I will have my fears, as his leadership in Final Fantasy XVI left some things to be desired from a gameplay standpoint in my opinion, but the story however was still good. In the end, I rate Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, an 8 out of 10. Make sure you drop down in the comments and tell me what you think. What would you rate it? Do you think I'm accurate? Do you think I'm off base? Or did I leave something out that you think is of great importance? I'm eager to hear your feedback. Make sure you drop me a like and subscribe, as it really helps me out in the channel, and I'm really grateful that you've watched up to this point. Huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members, my soldiers, those who support the cause. I'm ever grateful to you, and I'm proud to have you as my soldiers. For those of you that are interested, make sure you check out the links down below, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.